Hello, everyone. Charles Watts here. Welcome back to Inside Arsenal. It is Sunday. I hope the weekend is going well wherever you're watching or listening to this around the world. Thank you, as always, for joining me. I really do appreciate it. We've got plenty to get stuck into today. We're certainly going to talk about Noni Madueke as Arsenal's interest in him steps up, as does the reporting around that possible transfer. So we're going to talk about that, give the latest on it, give my views on it. You guys have been sending in a couple of questions as well, as you can imagine. It is a very big talking point around Arsenal right now, a possibility of Noni Madueke moving from Chelsea to Arsenal. I don't think any of us would have predicted that at the end of last season. So we'll talk about that, talk about Ethan Nwaneri as well, because obviously this move for Madueke has certainly put Nwaneri into the spotlight with his contract situation going on. So we'll talk about that. Lots of bits to sort of round up as well. Got a couple of questions from you guys. Got the Emirates Cup, which has now been announced. Mehmet Ali as well. That move to it, his move away from Arsenal, the under-21s coach, has been confirmed as well. So Arsenal on the lookout for a new under-21s manager. Got some words from Per Mertesacker on that as well. But there is only one place to start. Now, by the way, I'm recording this really, really early on Sunday morning because I'm taking my son out to Thorpe Park today. So if anything has changed by the time this gets published, and this moved quite quickly yesterday, the sort of, I don't imagine it will, but just in case, it's because I've not covered it, it's because I'm recording it very, very early, because I'm about to be terrified to my very soul by getting hurtled down Hyperia probably about 5 times, thanks to my son. So, yes, Madueke, obviously lots of reporting yesterday. David Ornstein, Fabrizio Romano all reporting that an agreement has now been reached between Arsenal and Madueke. So not Arsenal and Chelsea, not even talks really taking place yet. Chelsea are aware of Arsenal's interest in Madueke, but sort of club-to-club talks, certainly proper formal club-to-club talks, have not started about the transfer of Madueke to Arsenal, but an agreement on personal terms has been reached, and that was widely reported yesterday by Sami Mokbel, David Ornstein, Fabrizio Romano. So this is a move that is certainly gathering pace. Now, we know the way Arsenal are operating under Andrea Berta this summer is to talk to an awful lot of players, is to basically learn what they want terms-wise before really making a move. We've seen that's how he likes to operate. This one feels a little bit further down the line of that, the fact that there's been sort of agreement reached. I mean, that doesn't mean anything's been signed, of course not, but an agreement has been reached that they're reported. So my sort of understanding on this is Chelsea are very keen for a move. He's not sort of absolutely for sale, but the way Chelsea operate, the way that they trade players and keep the money sort of rolling and constantly moving at that club, it's just the way they operate at the moment. And obviously, they've made a lot of signings already this summer, and so they need to start bringing money in. It's just that constant cycle at Chelsea of player trading, player trading. It's like we just don't see it at any other club, and so they need to trade, put players out because they brought players in. And Madueke is someone they've identified as someone that they could get some money in for, and they have instructed people to try and get a move for Madueke to see if there's any what interested parties are. Now, that has led to Arsenal becoming involved in the situation. As far as I'm aware, Chelsea want, and I was told yesterday from someone very, very close to Chelsea, significant profit on the 30 million they spent on Madueke. So, a figure of around 50 million has been mooted, and I would say that's probably what they're looking for, around that ballpark. So I think if Arsenal are going to sign Madueke, it will be something around that sort of figure. It might be like 45. They might try and get higher. But as far as I'm aware, they certainly want a significant profit on what they paid to bring him to the club from the Netherlands, which is kind of understandable. He had an okay season. He's made himself an England international, probably second choice at the moment on the right wing behind Bukayo Saka for England. And that's where we are. And now we wait to see what Arsenal do with this interest. Do they now really open formal talks with Chelsea and try and get a deal done? Or is this just one of the wingers that they're assessing their options over and getting very familiar with before making a move? Okay, my thoughts on this. Before I give those, sorry, let me just bring up these 2 questions. We've got one from Andrew, who says, why are we going down the Madueke route? Sounds like personal terms will be agreed so that his insurance or a backstop in case other primary targets are not fulfilled. Berta appears to be juggling many plates simultaneously. I do not judge that Madueke is a steep change improvement on Trossard and Martinelli. Patsy says, C. Fabrizio says we are advancing on personal terms with Madueke. If he replaces Trossard and not Martinelli, we sign Eze and a striker. I'm more than happy. Thoughts? He's young, lots of potential. I know it's another Chelsea player, but I hated us signing Havertz, and now I'm a big fan. So a couple of sort of different views on it there. So my thoughts on Madueke, and I put this out yesterday on social media, is I'm struggling to get my head around it, I have to say. Probably more from the price for anything else. I don't think he's a bad player. I think there's issues with Madueke that will be frustrating. I think he absolutely needs to work on his end product, but I can see good points in Madueke. Is it a signing that I would want for Arsenal? No, I can't say it is. I think it's interesting that all of a sudden Arsenal seem to be pivoting towards the right wing. And I've seen people saying, we'll sign Madueke, we'll sign Eze, we'll sign Rodrigo, and we'll sign a striker. I just don't, if Martinelli goes, then maybe. But if he does, I can't see a way that Arsenal would sign those 4 players. So I'm wondering if Arsenal sort of making a firm move for Madueke is because they see, they're really going to make a move for Eze as well. And so they're kind of looking at the squad and say, we can't really sign Eze and a left winger. So let's sign Eze and then sign that real out and out cover for Bukayo Saka on the right hand side. And Madueke can also play on the left as well, if needs be. So I don't think he's a bad player by any means. I think when you look at him, he causes chaos. He gets shots away. Now, James Benj was speaking about it on Inside Arsenal Extra Time last week, and he's quite a fan of this potential move because of the numbers and because of the positions that Madueke gets into, the amount of shots he creates, the spaces he finds, the chaos he causes in and around the penalty area. He runs with the ball a lot, which is something a lot of Arsenal players don't do. So he sees some good points in this. And I do see those sort of points in Madueke. And I've always thought it when he's played against teams, when I've watched him, he does cause problems with his direct style. It's the end product that's the issue. And I can't get round, and I know it's silly, and this is me speaking as a fan, obviously, the optics of signing another Chelsea player is just becoming a bit, I don't know what the right word to describe it is. Weird. I don't know if that's the right word. Just odd. It's just constantly going to Chelsea. I know Chelsea have about 5 million players, so it does make it easier to do business with clubs like that, and they are always open to trade in Chelsea because of the model that they operate with. But it's just another player coming from Chelsea that it's just the optics of it are not great in my view, and it also kind of links into Ethan Nwaneri as well. Now, he's not involved in any of the talks over this deal. So, we've seen that Chelsea have an interest in Ethan Nwaneri, but, that's no surprise. Every single top club in European football, in England, in European football, will have an interest in Ethan Nwaneri. They will all concede he's got 1 year left on his contract, and that contract has not been signed yet. So they'll all be keeping tabs on the situation. They'll all be, in the agency saying, if he doesn't sign, we can give him this, we can give him that. So that's no surprise to me. And I do not imagine for 1 second that Ethan Nwaneri would be involved in the talks over this Madueke deal. But it's very hard to look at it and think if Madueke comes in, that will not limit Ethan's minutes potentially next season. Now, I know Ethan is more of a central player and Arsenal see him more as a central player, and he only played in the right last season because of Bukayo Saka's injury, and that's why we saw him more there. But Arsenal see him more as a central player. So if Madueke comes in, then he will be sort of on the right, and then Ethan will look to get his minutes in the central areas. But it is just another little position in the squad that he'll have another player ahead of him in, and that will limit his minutes. Or I wouldn't be surprised if the representatives, more importantly, during the contract talks with Arsenal that are ongoing at the moment, that have yet to reach a successful conclusion, will point to that and say, okay, we need minutes. We definitely need minutes to continue his development. He played a lot last season, which is great, but we need to continue that now. You've just spent £50 million on a player who's going to play in a position that Ethan got a lot of minutes in last season. So that's going to damage his chances of getting more minutes. So it is definitely going to be in the conversation, which is just another sort of optics-wise is another not great thing when it comes to Ethan Nwaneri. And so there's just a lot I'm struggling to get my head around with this deal. I'm not saying if he signs, it would be a terrible signing, and he wouldn't come on and do some good things for Arsenal, because he's clearly a good player. He's shown that in fits and bursts at Chelsea. He's shown that with England when he came on recently, when he got his start. I can't remember the game was. He was man of the match for England. He can cause problems. But it's just one of those ones. I mean, it's similar to Havertz, to be fair. And someone pointed that out. I think it was in one of the questions there, wasn't it? That they now like Havertz. And I was exactly the same when Havertz signed him. I was probably, you could go back and find me talking about the Kai Havertz signing. I'll be saying exactly the same thing as I'm saying now. And I look at Kai Havertz now, and I know this isn't a universal opinion, but my opinion on Kai Havertz is that he's a wonderful player, and I think he's been a really good signing for Arsenal, and I really can't wait to see him back fully fit next season playing. I still think he's got a massive part to play. And I was saying the exact same thing about him as I am now about Madueke, and I've been proven wrong. I said the exact same thing about Jorginho when Jorginho arrived, and I was proven wrong. So I would love to be proven wrong if Madueke signs. I would love, once Arteta gets his hands on him, this young player who's clearly got loads and loads of talent, that Arteta can get his hands on him and turn him from a rough diamond into a polished diamond, who would be absolutely fantastic. So, I mean, we're a long way from that. We'll see, wait and see what happens. So, yeah, I'm sort of muddling my words now, but that is my thoughts on Madueke. So, there is stuff going on, absolutely 100%. Chelsea are making moves to find a buyer. Arsenal at the moment are appearing to be a fairly willing buyer. It's going to be dependent on the price when the club-to-club talks do open. So give me your thoughts on that. Appreciate them as always in the comments below. Just sort of tying into the left, the winger situation. And again, I would very much struggle to see, as I said, a summer where if Madueke signs, Arsenal go out and sign a left winger, unless Martinelli goes, of course. Rodrigo, a player we know Arsenal are monitoring at the moment, he did get a few minutes yesterday in the Club World Cup. Came on for the last 4 minutes as Real Madrid booked their place in the semi-final against PSG with 3-2 win against Dortmund. So just a handful of minutes. I don't think that's going to appease the Rodrigo camp in terms of how he's being used by Alonso during the Club World Cup. So, not great in terms of Rodrigo, but Madrid into that semi-final. Really, really horrible injury for Musiala yesterday for Bayern Munich in their game against PSG. PSG winning it 2-0. But, just one of those horrible leg breaks, ankle breaks for Musiala with a challenge on Donnarumma. You sort of see the stills, images of it, the pain that he was in. It's a bad one for such a good quality young player. Just horrible to see. So hopefully he gets better. But Real Madrid continuing the tournament, so we're yet to really sort of come to a conclusion of or resolution in terms of Rodrigo's future that we're all waiting for with bated breath at the end of the Club World Cup. Okay, the Emirates Cup was announced yesterday, as I reported earlier on in the week. Arsenal are going to be playing Athletic Club in that. That's on the Saturday of the weekend before the Premier League season starts. Saturday, August the 9th, and Arsenal are playing Villarreal as well at the Emirates on Wednesday, August the 6th. That's going to be a 6 p.m. kickoff time against Villarreal. It's going to be a 5 p.m. kickoff time against Athletic Club in the Emirates Cup. Richard Garlick said, "We're delighted to once again be hosting the Emirates Cup this pre-season. Welcome to Athletic Club on the Saturday after playing Villarreal the previous Wednesday. It'll be exciting. They are strong tests for us. The matches will give supporters the opportunity to see our men's team in pre-season and will provide Mikel and the players with a competitive level of preparation ahead of the new season." Two good fixtures, I think, in terms of the home games before the season starts. Good tests coming off the back of the pre-season tour. So happy with those. Should see some good players. Nicolas Pepe returning to the Emirates with Villarreal. Nico Williams going to be at the Emirates this summer after all with Athletic Club. If he's going to be involved then, I imagine he will be after his international duties had this summer. So those are the two Emirates friendlies that we have coming up. Mehmet Ali, his move from the Arsenal under-21s head coach to Brentford has been confirmed by Arsenal. Per Mertesacker saying Mehmet has been fantastic professionally, personally. We're really proud of his development. Supported both the under-21s and the first team amazingly since the day Luke and I made the decision to appoint him. He has been fabulous. We thank him for his contribution and wish him well with this amazing opportunity to work in a first team environment and make a difference in the Premier League. He says Max Porter and Ken Gillard will take joint interim charge of the under-21s as we continue to make good progress with our plans for a permanent successor to Mehmet's role. It'll be interesting to see what Arsenal do in that search for a successor? Will it be Adam Birchall? Will they promote from the under-18s and then look to fill the under-18 spot, or will they bring someone in from far afield? Arsenal like to promote from within the youth setup, so it wouldn't surprise me if we see Adam Birchall move up. He's doing a good job at the under-18s, though, so it'd be a bit of a shame to disrupt that. And the under-18 squad is very, very highly rated as well, so that'd be a little bit disruptive ahead of the start of the new season. But I wouldn't be surprised if it is Adam Birchall, to be honest. But we'll wait and see on that. I've got a question now. Here's one, and actually, before I get onto this, just in terms of, I turned off the comment section yesterday because of, obviously, it was a very sensitive subject and the video that I was talking about. And I got some grief on Twitter, X as usual, for doing that. And I just to point out how it all works and why I turned off the comments yesterday, because it is an absolute legal minefield. And just bear in mind, everyone who's having a go at me yesterday, when you look at who is appealing for people to be very, very careful with what they say on social media in the case, the Thomas Partey criminal proceedings that are going on now, the people who are very aware and are warning people not to be commenting is not the people sort of defending Thomas Partey. It's the people pushing for it's the prosecution, it's the CPS, it's people like that, because there's such a high chance of comments on social media prejudicing this trial. And they do not want the trial prejudice because they don't want the trial thrown out. So just, be aware that what you're saying on social media, and on a case of high profile of this, it's very much the prosecution who want a fair trial because they do not want the trial to collapse. So I turned off the comments yesterday because it is a legal minefield. We are very much have to adhere to media law and just the law over here in the UK, and everyone has to have a fair trial, not just the defense but the prosecution as well. Very, very keen to make sure that comments and what is said and commentary and social media, everything like that, that things are not said that can prejudice this trial, which could lead to the trial being thrown out. So just be aware. But anyway, Nico Robertson has been in touch with a question, and he said, my theory on this is on Saka and Saliba and the contract situation. He says, my theory is their contract negotiations will accelerate once our transfer business is done. I would imagine that who we bring in and the wages that they receive would determine how much we would mean to offer these two players. As with their status at the club already, they will more than likely be the two top earners. Signing someone like Rodrigo would likely have the most influence on that. I'd be interested to hear your thought. Yeah, I mean, I think you're very much right that, with these contract talks that are going on at the moment, certainly with, like you said, Saka and Saliba, certainly Saka, he's going to be the top earner, you would imagine, at the club after this new contract. Hopefully, once it's signed, when it's signed, he will be the top earner at the club because of who he is, because of his standing in the game now. And if he becomes top earner at the club, then suddenly you bring in someone like Rodrigo, who will be very close to being a top earner at the club, given where he's come from, given his age again, and what he's done so far in his career. You don't want to sort of upset the apple cart of giving people big deals and then suddenly bringing someone in from abroad and giving them more money. So maybe that is something that they have to be aware of. Maybe it's something that would be written into contracts anyway, that if someone does come in from outside the club and immediately become the club's top earner, then Saka would have rights in his contract. That means he could go onto the same terms. I remember Tony Adams had that at Arsenal back in the day. His contract was, if anyone came in who was getting more money than him, Tony Adams immediately contract was bumped up to the same amount. So all those things are under consideration, absolutely, when contract talks go on with big name stars. So it's an interesting point, Nico. Thank you very much for bringing that one up as well. I do appreciate it. Thank you for joining Inside Arsenal as a Patreon member. Appreciate that as always as well. And that's it from me today, everyone. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. I'll be back to do it all over again tomorrow if I survive Thorpe Park a little bit later. That is. Speak to you later, everyone. Bye-bye.